sounded off about Kevin Stefanski and Cleveland's plan for Shedeur Sanders. He said Stefanski knows if he gives in to Shedeur, he's a goner because he's dug in internally with the owner and the GM that he just wants no part of Shedeur. He doesn't like him. He doesn't like the way he handles himself. He doesn't like the way he carries himself in the locker room and the social media and all those things that nobody liked about him in the NFL draft. I think it is a weird claim to make to say that the head coach doesn't like a player on his team, doesn't like a quarterback, right? Like maybe it's weird to speculate about personal feelings.
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. I'll be honest, when that clip hit my feed, I laughed first, then I froze. Skip didn't just toss a hot take. He lit a flare and fired it straight into Berea. An explosion, a full-on meltdown on live TV. And whether you ride with Skip or roll your eyes every time he speaks, you felt it too. The ground shook under the Browns today because this wasn't the usual noise. This was a line in the sand. Threats of legal action, words you almost never hear from a media heavyweight aimed at a head coach. That's not ratings talk. That's "we have a real problem" talk. And in Cleveland, a city that's learned to smell smoke from miles away, this feels like a ticking time bomb sitting in the middle of the quarterback room. I'm shocked because it's Skip. I'm half amused because it's so over the top. But I'm concerned because the reaction makes sense. If you've been watching every snap, living through every sideline shot, you know something's off. The timing of the benching, the silence after pressers, the energy around this team, tight, guarded, weird. We can argue about whether Shedeur's ready. We can debate Dylan Gabriel's ceiling. But when a coach's decision sparks this much fury, when a media figure hints at legal fallout over brand sabotage, you're not just in a football debate anymore. You're in an identity crisis. Here's what's really bothering me. Threats of legal action don't fly unless people feel boxed in, cornered. That tells me this is bigger than play calls and depth charts. This is about power, who actually runs the room, who gets the final word when the city's most polarizing rookie is in uniform, and the whole league is waiting to see what he does. It's about a head coach trying to control the tempo, a front office trying to protect the investment, and a fan base that's tired of conservatism masquerading as wisdom. It's about the Browns' old scar tissue flaring up the minute things get complicated. Why Stefanski? Why now? Because fans can count. We've seen late-game decisions that don't line up with common sense. We've seen a blowout still run through starters while the backup, this specific backup, stays frozen to the bench. We've heard whispers of "not yet," "not the time," "let the other guy finish his moment," while the moment for the kid with the higher ceiling keeps getting kicked down the road. And when you hold that against the backdrop of Skip's accusations, fair or not, it paints a picture that makes people angry, because it's the one picture Cleveland never wants to see again. A franchise choosing safe optics over bold answers. Call it conspiracy. Call it ego. Call it a coach digging in. All I know is the temperature just spiked 20 degrees in a locker room that didn't need more heat. Players hear this stuff. Agents hear it. Family hears it. A city hears it. And the longer Shedeur's helmet stays on the hook, the louder the drumbeat gets. That's how quarterback controversies become culture wars. Slow at first, then all at once. So no, this isn't just about Skip doing Skip things. This is about Cleveland staring at its reflection and not liking what looks back. Hesitation, caution, fear. And if there's one thing this fan base can't stand, it's fear wearing a headset. Because the question isn't, is Shedeur perfect? It's what are we so afraid of that we won't even find out? And that brings us to the heart of it. The Shedeur factor, the hype, the hope, the weight of a last name, and the promise of a new era. If you think this storm ends with today's headlines, you haven't felt the wind shift yet. Let's talk about why his very presence changes the calculus. On the field, in the room, and across this city. When Shedeur Sanders walked into the Cleveland facility, it didn't feel like a rookie reporting for duty. It felt like a movement arriving. Cameras followed. Players whispered. Reporters camped outside like it was draft night all over again. The son of Dayon, Coach Prime's own bloodline, stepping into a franchise that's been starving for a spark. And from that moment, everything changed. The locker room tone, the fan energy, even the tension in Stefanski's jawline during press conferences. You could feel it. Cleveland had just imported expectation on a national level, and you can't hide from that kind of spotlight. Every rookie brings hype, sure, but this was different. This wasn't a fourth-round flyer or a project quarterback. This was Shedeur Sanders, the most talked-about college player in America last season, the kid who dragged Colorado into primetime relevance almost by willpower. His composure, his confidence, his lineage, all of it screamed, "Ready?" Browns fans saw it instantly. The swagger, the poise, the way he carried himself like he'd already seen the bright lights before. And for a fan base that's lived through quarterback carousel after carousel, that kind of presence is intoxicating. You start imagining what could be. You start believing again. But inside those walls, that same energy cuts both ways. Because Shedeur doesn't just bring talent, he brings attention. Cameras, headlines, expectations. And that's a foreign language for Kevin Stefanski. He's old school, measured, a system guy who believes in process over personality. For him, football is math, not music. And now he's coaching a player whose game and name is music. Style, rhythm, improvisation. That's where the friction starts. Stefanski wants structure. Shedeur thrives in chaos. One man plays by the script. The other is the script. So now we're stuck asking the questions no one in the building wants to say out loud. Did the Browns draft Shedeur for what he can do, or for who his father is? Was this football logic or marketing math? Because if it's the latter, it explains everything we're seeing. The hesitation, the unease, the sense that every rep he takes is being judged twice. Once as a quarterback, once as a brand. And that's not fair to anyone. Not to Shedeur, who just wants to prove he can play. Not to Stefanski, who's balancing football decisions against a media circus. Not to the locker room, caught between talent and tradition. You can feel that tug of war in the air. Veterans quietly respecting the kid's poise. Rookies hanging on his every word. Coaches walking on eggshells around what they say to the press. Because this isn't just another quarterback room. It's a collision of eras. Old school versus new school. Control versus charisma. And maybe that's why this benching hits so differently. It doesn't feel tactical. It feels personal, like a message. Shedeur came to Cleveland carrying more than pads. He carried a legacy, and that legacy doesn't fit neatly into Stefanski's playbook. The question now isn't just when he'll start, it's whether the Browns are even ready for what comes with him when he does. Because if this really is about ego, not evaluation, then what's sitting on that bench isn't just a rookie quarterback. It's the future waiting to explode. You can feel it every Sunday, every snap, every stiff, awkward press conference after the game. This isn't just football strategy anymore. It's politics in pads. Kevin Stefanski versus the spotlight. Old school grit versus new age gravity. And right now, the Browns' locker room feels like a quiet battleground where no one's saying the full truth out loud. Skip Bayless called it weeks ago. Stefanski has dug in, and the more you watch, the harder that statement hits, because it doesn't feel like a disagreement anymore. It feels like a standoff. On one side, you've got a coach obsessed with control, doing everything by the book, trying to prove that his system, his order, can outlast chaos. On the other side, you've got Shedeur Sanders, a rookie quarterback who represents the one thing Stefanski can't script: attention, fame, fire. A new voice in a building that's been whispering the same tune for too long. Stefanski's problem isn't Shedeur's talent, it's the noise that comes with it. The cameras, the tweets, the national headlines that don't say Browns win. They say Deion's son shines. And to a coach who's built his career on structure and subtlety, that's poison. You can see it in his body language. When Shedeur warms up, Stefanski's eyes don't leave the clipboard. When the crowd starts chanting for number 12, you can feel the temperature change on that sideline. It's not strategy, it's survival. It's not leadership, it's control. We've seen this before. Belichick and Mac Jones. Shanahan and his endless quarterback carousel. The pattern's always the same. A coach so convinced he knows best that he starts playing defense against his own roster. The second ego walks into the room, the locker room becomes a chessboard. Every rep becomes a message. Every benching, a statement. And when that happens, you stop coaching to win. You coach to prove you were right. That's where Cleveland is right now. You can sense it in the play calling. Conservative on third and short, predictable in red zone situations, designed not to lose rather than to dominate. And the fans feel it. They see a team with firepower being coached like it's afraid to explode. You can hear it in the stands when Gabriel misses another deep shot. You can read it on Twitter when people say, "It's time," because Cleveland's not dumb. They know when the problem isn't the player, it's the philosophy. And that's what makes this whole situation so frustrating. Stefanski isn't a bad coach. He's disciplined. He's smart. He's won games most coaches in Cleveland couldn't. But somewhere along the way, he stopped trusting the energy that got him here. He stopped listening to the pulse of the team. Maybe he's scared to admit that the game is changing, that quarterbacks like Shedeur, like C.J. Stroud, like Anthony Richardson, are rewriting what leadership looks like. It's not quiet, it's not humble, it's expressive, it's magnetic, and it brings a level of attention that can either build or burn an organization, depending on who's in charge. So here we are. The Browns don't just have a quarterback controversy, they've got a culture clash. Stefanski's fighting to keep the noise out. Shedeur's existence is the noise. And in the middle are players just trying to win games while the walls start to creak from the tension. You can sense it building. A slow pressure, a stare too long on the sideline, a post-game quote that doesn't quite sound unified. Something's going to give. And when it does, it's not going to be quiet. Because this isn't just about who starts at quarterback. It's about who runs Cleveland. And right now, that answer feels more uncertain than ever. You can always tell when a locker room starts to split. It's never loud at first. It's not shouting or fights in practice. It's quieter than that. It's glances. It's whispers. It's the pause before someone answers a reporter's question. And right now, inside the Browns' locker room, that silence is getting heavier by the day. Guys aren't saying it on camera, but everyone can feel it. Something's off. Players talk. Always have, always will. And lately, that talk keeps circling back to one number. 12. To Shedeur. To the kid who doesn't play, but somehow owns the room every time he walks through it. You see it in warm-ups. Rookies gravitate toward him. Defensive guys dap him up like they already know what he's capable of. He's composed, confident, calm in chaos. Traits veterans respect, even if they don't admit it. One assistant reportedly said the team hasn't seen a rookie handle pressure like this since Baker's rookie year, except this time, it's quieter, colder, more focused. But on the flip side, there's tension. The older core, the ones who've been through 3 head coaches, 4 offensive systems, and countless QB eras, they're siding with Stefanski. They don't want to relive another rebuild. They want stability. They want order. So when the cameras cut to the sideline and you see veterans sitting stone-faced while Shedeur stands with his helmet on, waiting, you're watching loyalty collide with belief. One side's trying to protect the system. The other side's trying to believe in a spark. And here's the wild part. The whole city feels it too. Walk through Cleveland and it's everywhere. Fans chanting, "Let 12 play" outside the stadium. Twitter, or X, whatever we're calling it now, flooded with clips, fan edits, and hashtags accusing Stefanski of personal sabotage. Sports radio callers saying the quiet part out loud, that this feels bigger than football. They're not talking about arm strength or reads anymore. They're talking about pride, about ego, about a coach who's more worried about optics than opportunity. And don't get it twisted. The players see that energy. When your fan base starts picking sides between the head coach and a rookie QB who hasn't even thrown a pass this season, it messes with you. It creates a pressure that can crack teams apart or pull them together, depending on who blinks first. Inside that locker room, you can almost feel the divide growing between those who believe Shedeur is the future and those terrified that the future means change. There's a moment every NFL team hits before the storm, when everything looks normal from the outside, but behind the scenes, the air is thick with truth no one wants to say. That's where Cleveland is right now. The veterans nodding quietly in meetings, the young guys looking around like, why isn't he playing yet? Even Stefanski's pressers sound different now. Defensive, clipped, like a man trying to hold water in his hands. Something's coming. You can feel it in the way the players carry themselves, in the way the crowd chants longer each week, in the way even national analysts are starting to say it out loud. Something's going to break, and it won't be quiet. Here's what I know, and I'll say it straight. Shedeur Sanders' moment is coming. Not next year, not in garbage time, not when it's convenient for the organization. It's coming sooner than anyone in that building wants to admit, because you can't suppress inevitability. You can delay it, you can spin it, but you can't stop it. And right now, number 12 is the definition of inevitable. Every time the Browns play it safe, every time Gabriel checks down on 3rd and long, every time Stefanski's headset crackles with hesitation, the countdown gets louder. The fans hear it. The locker room feels it. You can almost see it, like a storm on the horizon, too big to ignore. Cleveland's been here before, a franchise built on frustration, rebirth, and impossible hope. Every era in this city starts with chaos before redemption. Maybe this one's no different. Maybe Shedeur's story starts the same way, with people doubting, criticizing, whispering that he's not ready. And then, when the moment finally arrives, everything flips. I've seen this movie before. Quarterbacks benched too long, coaches clinging to control until the pressure breaks, and when the kid finally steps in, it's like lightning strikes the field. Think about Jalen Hurts in Philly. Think about C.J. Stroud proving everyone wrong in Houston. Those weren't safe decisions. They were necessary ones, and that's exactly where Cleveland's heading. Because when Shedeur finally gets his shot, it won't just be about completing passes. It'll be about rewriting the narrative of this entire organization. Picture it. The first snap. The stadium buzzing like it hasn't in years. Fans on their feet before the ball's even snapped. The pocket collapses, Shedeur rolls right, eyes downfield, and fires a 25-yard dart across his body. First down. The camera cuts to Stefanski. No expression, but you can see it in his eyes. He knows what just happened. The torch passed. The energy shifted. The city found its pulse again. That's what this is about. Not a stat line, not a draft pick. It's about momentum. Emotional, cultural, generational. Because when number 12 takes that field, it won't just be a quarterback debut. It'll be a statement that Cleveland's finally ready to stop hiding from itself, to embrace swagger, to embrace risk, to embrace belief again. I'm not saying Shedeur will be perfect. He'll make mistakes, take hits, maybe throw a pick or two. But every throw he makes will mean something. Every drive will feel like potential. Every touchdown will remind this city what it's been waiting for. And when he wins, or because he will win, Cleveland won't just celebrate the box score. They'll celebrate survival, patience, loyalty finally rewarded. So stay loud, Cleveland. Stay loyal. Don't let them bury this story under press conferences and coach speak. Because when that kid finally gets the call, you'll feel the ground shift under your feet. You'll see why this whole storm, every rumor, every argument, every delay, was leading to that moment. And when it happens, when Shedeur Sanders steps under center and this city catches fire again, remember who called it first.